to record on this computer. We're recording right now. So again, please mute yourself if you feel like you've got a lot of talking in the background or you have a TV on or something. Let's just jump right in with some questions. Any questions to begin with before we get to the questions that people had emailed?
I don't have any.
No.
I had the question about the dim.
Is that Lisa?
Yes.
Okay, did you see I made a video for you?
I didn't, so.
Okay, I posted it on your question, of course, right underneath the question on the Facebook page. So
Okay.
I created a video on why I changed the DIM product and the other benefits of the synergistic nutrition in that.
Awesome. Awesome. I will listen to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have it memorized and we'll have a test next week.
Okay.
Okay, so let's jump into these questions. You guys can jump in and interrupt me anytime, but there's some good ones today. So first one, should we be taking cancer prevention products and add prevention procedures after you give us cancer remission status? That is like EGCG, capsaicin, misspelling there, pectisol, which is the modified citrus pectin, functional or fasting, mimicking diet, getting thermograms yearly. So let's just clarify one thing here, just so we're all on the same page. I do not give cancer remission status. Let's make that perfectly clear. So I've had misunderstandings there. Just because someone does not come up with the kinesiology testing that they have, that cancer is showing up, does not mean that they're in remission, nor does it mean they don't have cancer, nor does it mean, so I know this person who asked the question, and that's not really what she's asking, but in her mind, you know, if they're doing really well with their cancer, should they continue with the therapies is what she's asking. But I did have to clarify that. I'm not the one that's giving any cancer remission status. The answer is...
I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Yes.
It's hard to hear you.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute everybody, okay?
Thank
So that
you.
if you guys have questions when I mute you, where do I do that? When I mute everybody, is you're going to have to put in a little thing on the chat. So there is a little thing on your window that you can chat, and it'll pop up here. So I'll be able to see if you have questions. So now hopefully that eliminated all the feedback. All right, so go back to this question again. I'm not the one who's giving cancer remission status, but let's say you go back and you do a CT scan, or you do the IVG test and it comes back below 10, or the oncologist says, oh my gosh, you're cancer-free. Should you stop your therapies? That's really, I think, the question. And the answer is, well, first of all, it's totally up to you. But let's just think about that a second. If the therapies were instrumental in any way, shape, or form to get you to the point of remission, why would you stop doing that? Well, it's expensive to keep buying all these supplements. So, you know, I don't want to keep doing that, and I'm back to normal. I think that is the biggest error that is tied to the medical profession. A person goes in and they have liver cancer, and then they do a course of chemotherapy, and they do another CT scan, and they don't see the lesions in the liver anymore. And the oncologist says the most foolish statement, even though it sounds so positive and uplifting, which is, you are cancer-free, which is a lie from the pit of hell, because nobody's cancer-free. Nobody is. So to say that a person is cancer-free because a lab or a CT scan don't show the lesions. I mean, the lesion has to be at least, 10 million cells large to even be seen on a CT scan or a PET scan in the first place. So it's physiological foolishness. It's just idiocy. It's just not correct practice of medicine to make that comment. So we all have cancer cells, and you are keeping it at bay by the choices that you are making, or you are not keeping it at bay by the choices you are making, depending on what choices they are. So if any nutritional product using the Rife, here's another question. How long do I have to use the Rife? I get that. You probably asked that question maybe when you first came to me. How long do I have to use this thing? And I say, the rest of your life? And people go, oh my goodness, I don't want to use this the rest of my life. I only want to get rid of this bump in the road, get quote unquote, get rid of my cancer, and now I don't have to use this anymore. Well, good luck with that. You have to stay on the protocol. These are lifestyle changes that you are going to stay on. Are you going to necessarily stay on the same dosage of medicinal mushrooms or the same dosage of MCP synergy, or do you still have to do the fasting mimicking diet on a regular basis? Well, that's the choice that you're going to have to make. But certainly, if taking 20 enzyme capsules a day on an empty stomach have gotten you to the point where you have put this pancreatic cancer in a semi-remission state, why would you stop? I just don't understand. So that's just my belief. You can do whatever you want to do, but you just gotta, why would you stop doing what works? Don't quit doing what works. Second half of this question, is doing a regular thermography a good idea? If you have a history of cancer that is readily seen on thermography, like breast cancer, I would say do it even more frequently than annually. Thermography is a very inexpensive way to do a screening, even less expensive than the IVG test, though it's not as specific as to cancer as the IVG test. It's certainly a great screening. So if you have a cancer that is visually apparent on the thermography, like a breast cancer, I would certainly do that maybe even quarterly, at least every 6 months. Second question, does the Rife GRS scan frequencies you test for, do they count toward functional testing, that is heavy metals, hormones, microbes, parasites, or do you need other physical tests? So the way I'm reading this question, and if the person who asked it I see is on the line, if you mean it a different way, correct me. I'm reading the question, does the GRS scan give you diagnostic information that you do not need other physical tests? And my belief is no, it doesn't. So I do not believe in diagnosing or using the GRS scan as a diagnostic tool. So the GRS scan is going to scan whatever frequencies are in the program. So if you don't know what the GRS scan is, let me clarify. The GRS scan is when we scanned you with the Rife machine, when you were here for your 2 days. So that's the scan. So you could go to another practitioner who uses the Rife, or you could learn how to scan yourself, but the scan is only scanning what frequencies are in the scan program that you are scanning. So if you come here, I have written my own scan programs that we are scanning a person on. And we do not have heavy metals in the scan program. We only have microbes, biotoxins, and cancer frequencies typically in my scan programs. But that in itself, let's say if I run a scan and let's say I have cancer and I have 4 hits on Lyme disease on the GRS scan, does that mean I have Lyme disease? The answer is no, it doesn't mean that you have Lyme disease. It means that you had 4 hits on known frequencies that are connected to Lyme disease. It does not mean that you have Lyme disease. If I have a healthy person run a GRS scan with a whole bunch of frequencies for cancer, it's very possible that they could have hits on certain cancers and yet not have cancer. So when you have a hit on a GRS scan, you have a hit on a frequency, not on a disease. It's a hit for that frequency. Just because that frequency is known to be tied to a specific disease, it does not equate to you having that disease. So you can't extrapolate the data up to the point where you are using it as a diagnostic tool. So there's always a need, should a person have other issues, to do other tests. You can't scan for thyroid issues and give a diagnosis of Hashimoto's disease because of a GRS scan. You'd have to do a test and measure antibodies to the thyroid gland, TPO antibodies, to get a diagnosis of Hashimoto's, and that's a blood test. So now that being said, if I ran a scan on me and I had 24 hits on Lyme frequencies, there's probably a pretty good chance I have latent Lyme, but still you can't give a one-to-one equation to that. I would not use a GRS scan for a diagnostic tool. So there's still a need for lab tests, still a need for other testing to give a proper diagnosis, kinesiology testing, however you're going to do it. That brings us into the next question. How much does muscle testing tell you? The answer to that is it depends on who's doing the kinesiology testing, because it tells you basically the answers to whatever questions you're asking. So there is a skill set there, and there is a learning curve in learning kinesiology, and I do believe there is an art form there. I have tried to teach kinesiology classes to other practitioners multiple times, lots of times, and I give up banging my head against the wall, asking myself, why did I try to do that again? There is a learning curve. I started down the road of kinesiology because when I was in high school, went to a chiropractor who did kinesiology and acupuncture and chiropractic, and I thought that's what chiropractic was, and I just believed that's what God was leading me to do, and I know that to be true. Realized when I got to chiropractic school that was a totally different ball of wax, and I had to go take other courses to learn that. But that was literally, I knew at a very early age was what my calling was. That being said, I've had a lot of practitioners look at my practice and go, I want to do what he does, without wanting to put in the time to learn what I know. And that tends to fall on its face because, like anything, I can't remember the author that said that if you want to be an expert at something, be an expert, you have to put in 10,000 hours to be an expert. There was an old saying that somebody came up to this wonderful concert pianist afterwards and said, oh my gosh, I want to do what you do. And he said, no, you don't. He goes, well, what do you mean by that? That's really rude. He goes, are you willing to practice 20 hours a day for the next 25 years to know what I know, to be as good as I know? Well, most people aren't. And I'm not saying that from a muscle testing standpoint to sound egotistic, but there is a skill set there. So you have to know what you're testing for and what questions you're asking. So muscle testing could tell you a lot of things. But that being said, we don't want to use any test, including kinesiology, the wrong way, or I should say, we don't want to use it uncoupled to other things. So my belief is that you want to integrate as many knowledges as you possibly can and seek wisdom from as many sources as you possibly can. So I don't like to rely solely on kinesiology. Frankly, I don't totally trust myself fully. I want to be able to use other technology in other labs when we can as well. That's why I'm so excited about the IBG test. That's why I'm so excited about other genetic SNP testing and other labs that we do, because it confirms, if nothing else, the findings that I find with kinesiology, which gives me confidence that we're getting that wisdom from God. And that's another point that may rub some people on this call the wrong way, but I wouldn't go to a kinesiologist that isn't asking for wisdom from the Holy Spirit, that I know that they are coming from a godly perspective, because I want those answers to come from Him, not from any other source. But that's just me. Second half of that question, only asking because someone mentioned being exposed to the flu bug, and you listed that running the Rife viral, cleanup, and various parasite programs to run beyond their nightly programs. Yes, so then you're using a gathering of other wisdom to say, okay, well, if it's a flu bug, is it a bacterial flu? Well, the flu bug that's going around is viral. So you running some of the viral programs may be very helpful. So you're just trying to use other wisdom that has nothing to do with muscle testing, has nothing to do with lab testing, but has to do with just some experiential knowledge that can be beneficial to help a person. And then the next question, I completed the fasting mimicking diet last Friday. This is a question from right off the Facebook page. I'm struggling to get my digestive system back in a routine. Any suggestions? Yes. So when you have been fasting, that is going to throw your system in a tizzy. You may need to take some more digestive enzymes when you put something back, some food back in your body, because you haven't been consuming a lot of calories, your pancreas could get sluggish. So I'd highly suggest you add some digestimes or Clear Digest or Zypan with each one of your meals to help get that back in track. Also, this is a great time to be working on refluorizing your gut. So adding probiotics, if you haven't been taking probiotics, can be really helpful. Adding Sun Spectrum, if you haven't been taking Sun Spectrum, can be really helpful at that point too. I don't know how many people have done the fasting mimicking diet. I hit on it hard in December. I did it. I think I had some great benefits from it. Is it hard? Yeah, it's not easy. But I kept on telling myself, hey, 90% of the world is eating less than I'm eating, so what am I crabbing about? And, I let that drive me, and really you could do anything for 5 days if you just put your mind to it. So it's hard only because I eat too much. So when you put it in perspective, then it makes it really easy. But it can really reset your body. I'm going to do it again in, a week? Yes. And again in a month after that. So I think it can be very, very beneficial. But adding some digestive enzymes, adding some probiotics and prebiotics is the first thing that I would add. Next questions. As a follow-up to my question from last week about the Rife preloaded programs, I'm curious as to the best method for determining one from another. For instance, there are several cold and flu programs preloaded in the Rife system. How do I know what to run? So that is a very common question. There's a couple thousand programs on that thing. What am I supposed to do? Well, if you're a patient of mine and you're dealing with cancer, the biggest thing you want to run is your night program. If you're struggling with a current infection of some kind, like a virus or bug or sinus infection or cold or flu, that's when you'd add other programs. Or let's say you're dealing with some other long-standing issue like, well, I've had toenail fungus for 20 years. Can I run the fungus programs? Absolutely. So always my comment is make the Rife machine your first go-to for any disease process you got going on in your body. It doesn't mean it's going to solve any disease process going on in your body, but make it be your first go-to for whatever you got going on. So if you have headaches that are common that you get every 3 months, run the headache program. It could work. So if you have a cold and flu, run one of those programs. Well, to get specific to this question, there's several of them. Which one am I supposed to run? Well, this is where you get to some experience and some knowledge from other users. That's why we have our Facebook page. Because Mike chimed in and said, I heard from other people that the 2008 cold and flu program is working really well for the current flu that's going around. So then he posted that, and we talked about that on the last Zoom call or the one prior to that. So that's where communication can be helpful, because it can be just out of experiential knowledge from other people's experience that can give us hints. So in that case, that would be one way to know. And then asking me, because maybe like the other question on this page was, what am I supposed to know? You said to use the viral program. That's what this forum is for. That's what these questions are for. That's why you have me here. So you can ask those kind of questions, and I can give you my experiential knowledge of, it's a virus, run the viral programs. If you have a cough, I may say run the pneumonia blaster program. That's worked really well for a number of people. So we just share one another's experience that we can build on, and then learn from each other and all have a better experience. Next half of this question, is there a method for muzzle testing or some other way to select an optimal program? There is. So if you want me to do that for you, you just got to call, and you could do that through Michelle. We could do even distance kinesiology. We have to charge a fee for that to do that. So if it's something you're really having a hard time knocking out, then ask to do that, and we can get that scheduled, and you go through Michelle typically for that, and then we can do that. Don't ask me how I do kinesiology. I'm not telling you. So but that is a way to know what to do, what's going to be the best program for you, or quite possibly the best program for you. So hopefully that answers those questions. I am going to open up the phone lines. So again, we're going to unmute everybody, and I can hear you now. So any other questions, just pop in.
Dr. Connors?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. The first question. So just to clarify, should we be adding cancer preventatives like ECG, Pectosol, and those kind of things?
No, I would only do what I told you to do, unless I have like a Zoom call on something like that. Then you could ask me that, and that's where you have to make a decision, where either, boy, I'm not taking very many things right now. I think I'd like to add EGCG. That makes a lot of sense what he said. Or I'd like to add capsaicin. That makes a lot of sense what I said. Or I would say, so that's the least expensive way to do it. Make a decision. Pray about it. Make a decision. A little bit more costly is to set up either an appointment with me to talk to you. Same cost would be call Michelle and say, hey, can you have them do this kinesiology and whether I need these or not?
Okay.
However, that being said, if you're already taking a whole bunch of stuff, probably don't do anything. If you're taking a bunch of stuff and you're having good success and you're really kind of winning this battle on the cancer front here, then I wouldn't necessarily think about adding anything at all. I know that some of you, and I'm not saying, Deb, that it's you, but there's a number of you that I'll tell you right now, because I've been upfront with you, is one of the biggest struggles I have with patients is divorcing them from the 150 supplements that they're currently taking. So you've researched it, you've studied it, and you brought in your giant basket full of stuff that you're taking, and you're kind of married to it. And you get mad at me if I say, you probably don't need all this stuff. It's probably not so great for your liver if you're taking all this stuff. And you smile and you say nice things and you curse me out when you want. No, you didn't. I'm just saying that for some people, it's hard to just let God do his work in you. You're just constantly Googling the next best thing. I caution you against that.
No, it was just from some of the videos you had why I'm asking.
And I'm part to blame because I'm constantly bringing up new stuff. So I apologize that. I'm not trying to sell more product. I'm just trying to give information where information is due. And I have a lot of people that subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch our videos, and we get about 15 to 20,000 hits a month on our web page. And I feel like part of the purpose that God has me in is to take care of the people that he sends me, but also another purpose is to help take care of people that will never be able to come to me. So I try to continue to gather information because that's the heart that he's given me, is a hunger for knowledge. But also I don't want for you to interpret that as that I'm trying to sell you more stuff, because I'm not.
Okay, one more question. I'm having trouble with the infrared sauna. I'm drinking like 10 to 12, 14 cups of water during the day, doing all the mineral supplements before I hop in there. And I'm still taking 30 minutes to start sweating. So how long is that too long, and how long should I stay in there?
So if you take a long time before you start sweating in a sauna, is that a long time? And what could possibly be the problem? I would continue it. So
Okay.
you want to continue it. So there could be numerous non-pathological, I would say, issues in your ability to detoxify through your skin. And the more you do it, typically, the faster you'll start sweating.
Duration, please.
I wouldn't stay in there. I would stay in there no longer than 45 minutes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Dr. Connors, for the digestive enzymes, can I use the ones that you prescribed for me or recommended for me when I went on my trip to Africa? Will those work or not those type? I think they were HCLs, but I'm not sure.
What was it I gave you?
Was it HCM? Something like that?
Yeah, so the HCL, any digestive enzyme with HCL in it, you only want to take that with food.
Okay.
So yes, and so with getting your gut back in track after the FMD, you would only take it with food anyhow. So yes, you could use that absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Dr. Connors, I had put on the chat, when did you start doing kinesiology on people?
So I went to chiropractic school I started in 1983. And I thought chiropractic school, I was going to learn kinesiology. Well, boy, was that a wake-up call. And so I joined the kinesiology club there and started doing kinesiology and learning kinesiology right away my first year there. The beauty of it is that you got really good at adjusting, you got really good at working on people. So myself and another good friend in my class kind of became the go-to people for everybody in our class and below us and above us in class that had issues. We got to practice on more people. So we got better at our diagnostic skills, and we got better at our kinesiology and chiropractic skills. So it was a wonderful thing all the way around. So I've been doing kinesiology since 1983, 84. Well, it seems like a long time ago. I was only 4 then.
Dr. Connors, could I add something about an infrared sauna?
Uh-huh.
Well, I've been doing saunas for quite a while, and I don't mean to make this that I know it all, but my routine has become to do my coffee enema, but before I do it, I go turn my sauna on, and it's usually up to about 120 degrees before I get in it.
Yeah.
the other caller didn't mention if she's just turning it on and getting in, but I have found that if I get it up to about 120, it only takes 5 to 10 minutes to start the sweating process.
Yeah, I think she's been doing them a lot. That's a really good info, and I bet you she preheats it too. But that is really good info because it takes 15 to 20 minutes to get it up to temperature. So.
Yep.
And if you probably part of the problem that you're having with the sauna, if you talk to people from Minnesota, see, saunas started really with the Finns, the Finnish people in Minnesota. And if I say a sauna to them, they go, "What? It's a sauna." You have to pronounce it right, or you don't sweat correctly in a sauna. You have to pronounce sauna, or it doesn't work.
So I don't know if anyone noticed, but there's a brand new flu program that just came out that's for 2018 that mixes the 2008 and some current stuff that sounds really good.
Okay, so good point, Mike. But if they don't know how to update their Rife program, then they won't get it. So let me explain how to do that.
Okay.
So you have to have your Rife computer connected to the internet. So if you have internet at home, then you have to connect your Rife, the computer that the Rife program is on, you have to connect it to the internet. And then you can open up any program. And when you open up any program, you'll see that bar on top of the program. And one of them says update frequencies. Just click on it, and that's all you gotta do, and then it'll click. You have to click run or something like that too. It'll prompt you, and it'll update your frequencies, and it will not change the program that I created for you. So it will put on any new updates that Mike at True Rife has created. So that's how you update your frequencies, and you should do that about every 6 months. I typically do that for patients. But I would do that if you want that new program.
This is Sharon. I added in a question, but I missed a good chunk of 5 minutes or more of the session because I kept hearing a lot of static and I couldn't hear. So I was asking about water fluid retention. I don't know if you got to that one.
No.
Okay, so I have a lot of fluid retention building up, and I was put on a diuretic temporarily, and it helped some, but I was told that it's the cancer that's causing it, and that maybe my lymphatic system's kind of clogged. And is there anything I can do? Because I was told that, really without reversing the cancer, I'm going to have to live with this.
Okay, so there's two types of fluid retention. One is going to be what's called ascites. So ascites is typically going to be because of the waste of the growing cancer, and you'll see that in your abdominal cavity or in your lungs.
Yes, and I've had both.
And have you had that drained?
I have, when I was put on the diuretic, my lungs were cleared, but my abdomen was not drained. I didn't know that was an option.
Yes, so you will feel like a new person by getting that drained.
Where do I go?
You could go into the ER.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
And my cancer doctors don't tell me this, huh?
They should.
I know.
So it's if it is ascites in your abdominal cavity, they do it under ultrasound or MRI or CT, and they'll put a needle in and they'll drain fluid out of there.
Okay. And then what about in the ankles and?
That's different. So that's different. That isn't from the growing cancer. That is typically from pressure on a lymph drainage. So either on a lymph vessel or on a lymph node.
Yes.
So that can be from ascites in the abdominal cavity, putting pressure on the iliac nodes that drain your legs.
Right, right.
Then it has to do with muscle contraction of your legs, and trying to remove the pressure on where the lymph vessel is pinched or the node is pinched. So like you're getting down on all fours, like in a crawling position, on your knees and on your hands on all fours, like you're going to crawl around, allowing your belly to sag. And then doing some like leg raisers, or like you're exercising your buttocks and your legs and contracting and moving your feet around and such, that you're contracting your gastroc and your soleus muscle of your lower legs, your calf muscles, to help pull that lymph out. Well, all the while you're all on all fours. So you're literally, if there is ascites in your belly, that's going to go down towards the floor. This is an exercise that I used to teach pregnant women that would get swelling in their legs because of the fetus pressure on the venous cava. So you're getting on all fours, so the fetus is gravity is pulling it towards the floor and opening up the vessels that are next to your spine. But remember, swelling in the legs is going to be moved through the lymph system that only moves fluid by contraction of the muscles.
Okay, so even yoga would probably not hurt.
Yep, so that would be good. Just contracting the muscles, writing the alphabet with your toes while you're in a sitting position, standing up and doing toe raisers.
Okay. And then anything else as far as like, through the mouth? Like I found this tea that's supposed to help reduce water weight. I don't know if it's true.
Yep. And we have a natural herbal diuretic that might help too. I think it's listed as herbal diuretic. That's a capsule.
Okay.
But if you do have ascites in your belly, don't think, oh my gosh, this is it, I'm dying. I've had people with ascites in their belly go and have 2 liters drained off. They feel like a different person. 2 weeks later, they have to go in and they have 1.5 liters drained off. 2 weeks later, they have 1 liter drained off. And then pretty soon it's like, okay, I don't have any ascites in. Oh, that was 3 months ago. They said I was going to be dead a week after that all happened. And if I wouldn't have got that drained, it could have been true.
Wow. I know it's very, very uncomfortable, and it's weighing me down and making me, it's probably making my heart work harder.
Sure. Any other questions? Because I'm going to have to say goodbye. We have a genetics seminar here at the office today.
One more question on the fasting diet. How
Uh-huh.
important are those spearmint teas? Do they
No,
need to be
those
read?
are just optional.
Thank you.
You could use a different herbal tea if you won't like something different. I didn't use the spearmint teas at all. I used what was the other one? I can't remember the other tea.
Hibiscus.
Hibiscus tea. I thought that was
It was good.
and then I used chaga tea, so I didn't use the spearmint tea at all.
Dr. Connors, if you had a chance, maybe like later or tomorrow, to follow up with me. This is Sharon. You sent me the I'm going blank right now. The spray.
Yes.
And it seemed like I was getting some results, but then using the Rife machine close to that area has caused me like severe pain and inflammation. So it kind of seemed like it took away any benefits, and now I'm kind of afraid to use the Rife machine.
Oh, don't do that.
Well, I know.
Keep using it. You don't have to put it so close so that you don't get any, too quick a die off. You put it a little bit farther away.
Okay.
Word about the spray, because I put on the spray bottle 1 to 3 sprays a day just to be ultra conservative. Personally, I'd use it constantly. Use it like 6 times.
Oh, I was, yeah.
So just really load up on it.
I felt like, because I had to travel and I was using it a lot, and I felt like that I was relieving some pressure, and it just seemed, I couldn't prove it like this quickly, but it seemed like it was working. And then I had a day break from the Rife machine, and when I got back on the Rife, it kind of went the other way with inflammation, so then it's hard to tell the difference.
Yeah, it is. So keep it up. We're getting a lot of good feedback on that so far.
Okay. Would it work on skin cancer?
No, there's a whole other way to treat skin cancer, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. I mean, I don't know. We haven't treated that with a squamous cell, but I'd be really curious if you got a basal cell and see what that is like. So
I know someone who does, but I don't.
yeah, I mean, it certainly can't hurt. So
Okay. All right. Thank you.
all right, anything else? All right, well, I will let you go. Keep emailing me your questions. And if you have anything personal, obviously, just get back to me on a personal note. All right, thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Is it over?